You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
This on-air slapdown suggests Scott Jennings just committed career suicide based on an article by Jason Michaud. Mitch McConnell is not the story, the seat is. The actual stakes. This source tries to sell a health rumor as a moral drama about Scott Jennings, but the real political issue is power. Who controls a Senate seat if Mitch McConnell can no longer function? And who benefits from keeping that question muddled? The article itself admits the Republican incentive plainly enough. If McConnell exits before the cutoff, a Democratic governor appoints a temporary replacement and the race opens up. That is the story. Everything else is noise. Cable news as cover. CNN becomes part of the problem when it turns a succession crisis into a live call stunt. Jennings is not valuable here because he knows anything. He is useful because he performs certainty while laundering partisan interests through a mediator persona. The source is right to suspect a dodge, but it still wastes too much energy on Jennings' ego and not enough on the institutional machinery that makes a Senate vacancy politically explosive in the first place. The GOP's incentive is obvious. The article pretends the uncertainty is some kind of mysterious fog. It is not. Republicans have every reason to preserve the appearance that McConnell is alive and engaged long enough to avoid a Democratic appointment, a special election scramble, or a more chaotic primary environment. That is not concern for continuity. It is raw seat management. The party's instinct is not to be honest about incapacity. It is to game the calendar until the rules stop mattering. McConnell's legacy is the method. McConnell is presented as a frail elder statesman, but the source can't quite hide the deeper truth. He spent years perfecting the politics of obstruction, procedural hardball, and democratic throttling. If his circle is now using ambiguity around his condition to block voter influence one last time, that is not an aberration. It is the final expression of the method. The man did not merely participate in anti-democratic politics, he normalized them. The framing still misses the point. The article wants a villain, so it picks Jennings. Fine, he may well be lying, and a network that pays these talking heads to spit out partisan certainty should not be surprised when they abuse the job. But the smaller scandal is the one the piece almost reaches and then abandons. Elite media accepts performative accountability because it is cheaper than confronting institutional deception head-on. A phone call on air is not verification. It is television pretending to be evidence. What this story reveals, the deeper pattern is simple. When power is threatened, political institutions do not become more honest. They become more opaque. Health, succession, and legitimacy get managed like brand assets. Republicans want the seat, the optics, and the timeline. Cable news wants the spectacle. And the public gets a show built around a constitutional question that should never have been reduced to gossip in the first place. This is how democratic decay works in practice, not with a single dramatic break, but with 1,000 small lies told to keep control where it already sits. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Raw Story for today's article, with the automated voice of Bryce. Thanks for listening.